Hi, this is David Fleming, your digital literacy instructor again. This is likely to be your second video training, although things may have changed. This will be another fundamental building block to get you into your full training. This one will be covering fundamental and essential email usage. Um, and I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're all here and present and ready to do a little bit of thinking and working on a very important topic. So again, this is remote learning, so you're attending by being on a computer, which means a few things. I know. I happen to know you could not possibly be watching this video unless you had already signed into your email. So I will make that assumption that you knew how to sign your email, even though I'm going to go through a few basic steps on that. And another assumption I have for you in this particular circumstance is that in being on this video and on your email, because you signed into your email, that means you're using multiple tabs, which we've covered a little bit before in our previous first training. So just to illustrate that, as I move my mouse around showing you that I am going to demonstrate the idea that I know that on one tab, you are on the video. And this is not the video, but it looks similar to the video. And so on this tab, you're watching me. Please remember that you can pause the video anytime. You go down to your pause button on the bottom. Please pause at any time when you need to either take a mental break, you need to think, rewind, or go try the things I'm talking about and go look at your computer and your settings so that you can do the work that I'm asking you to do. Please don't forget that. And so between your tab, which is up top on your video, don't forget you have one internet window open at least, and probably two. You've got your email most likely on this tab. I have my Google window, but it's going to be the same idea. You have this Google window. You can always click off. You can always click away from your video and go to the other tabs, either while you're listening to me. You don't have to pause me, or after you paused. And then you can come back to the video and continue playing or continue watching. I just wanted to review that. And along those same lines, I also wanted you to know this. I am fully aware that all of you are at different levels in computer usage. This is always the nature of training, whether in the classroom for my 9 years of teaching or whether here on a computer. I know that some of you are already highly skilled and inexperienced, and some of you are less so. Some of you have different kinds of experience. Some of you are used to using a laptop or a computer. Some of you may have only been using phones or tablets because either you're younger or you just learned or got used to working on a different format. This is why I always teach from the bottom up. I'm scaling it up a little bit for the remote learning because I happen to know you all had to pass an assessment test to get in. So I know you've got some skill, but I still am going to cover essential topics. Whether or not you feel like you know it, I'd like you to pay attention and participate. If it's not new, then that's good. It's not new and it'll reinforce some of the knowledge you already know. Won't be too hard. If it is new, it's important. Any of the information that you get here that is new, I'm hoping that is useful to you. So please pay attention and follow the instructions if I have any, and we'll get this email lesson done. All right, so essential topics. Number one, when you first signed in, remember the idea that everything in this training is based on your Google account. Nothing happens in the training without this Gmail. Your Gmail is a professional account, so I'm assuming the very beginning of your Gmail account has your name reasonably clear with no particular distractions in it, no nicknames, no old names that you don't introduce yourself by should be in the email address in the front part of your email address. My address is dfleming, DFLEMMING, @thehopeprogram.org. The front section, D Fleming, is what I'm talking about. My name is David Fleming. D Fleming is clear enough. Your email should have some sort of clarity like that. There could be a number in it, there could be symbols in it, but I just need to know that your name, first initial maybe, at least most of your last name, and maybe a number or a symbol. That should be what is in your email address, nothing to distract the employer. So that's a first assumption. All right, so the other thing is that when you did come in, because when you first came into your Chromebook or your laptop, If you are not signed into your email, you will not be able to access any of the Google programs. So that is always going to be your first step. Sign into your email as a first step. Your Chromebook will then be enlisted also, because your Chromebook acts like a sort of office space. When you're signed into your email, everything you do on that Chromebook is yours, because Chromebook, the machine you may be sitting at, is a Google device. So as soon as you sign into your email, you've taken over that Chromebook, which is very handy. All the downloads that you have in that folder are yours. The Chromebook is actively working on your behalf because you're signed into your email. So that's one thing. Now, when you first came into your Chromebook, you were not signed in, and you knew you weren't signed in because there was no symbol up on the top right. I'm moving my cursor up to the top right. There was no symbol with your initial in it. That is the sign that you're signed in. And once you're signed in, everything you do will be under Google's purview. All right, so you're in Google's world. But if you're not signed in, you are not in Google's world yet. And so that would be always the first step. So I'll quickly go through the sign-in process. I got one or two tips for you, and then we'll move on. So signing in is either you click on sign in, or you're going to try to get into your Gmail. So you click on Gmail. Or if you see the apps button here, which is your Google Apps button, I call it the checkerboard. That is where all the Google services are. If you click that, you'll see Gmail among all the other services there. You would click that first to start the process. Let's just say you hit either Gmail or sign in. As soon as you hit Gmail, I'm going to use another account so that it's not, this is all because I have a computer that remembers me. Normally speaking, this is what you'd see first, of course, and you would need to put in your email address. So I'm going to put in my teaching address, not the address you use for me. This is just a real quick fake email that I use for teaching. This has nothing to do with anything you should be using to contact me. So your email address goes in as a whole. It actually remembers me. You see down here, it remembers me, but I'm going to type it in as I would normally. You type out the whole thing. To do an @ symbol, you hold the shift, you type 2 because the symbol is on top of the 2. When you want a symbol on top of a letter or a number, you hold the shift button. Type everything in exactly the way your email is. If there's a number or symbol, obviously you did this already, but some of you may not have been using Gmail on a computer in a while, and you may have forgotten that you have to sign into the Google company. You have to go to Google in order to sign into Google, and then you always have to sign in with all the information, your email address and your password. So that's the first step. You have your email address signed in, you go next, and obviously then they want your password. One quick tip on this: if you're not a very skilled, or you haven't been typing in a while on a computer, right? If you haven't been doing that in a while, then this may be a little awkward, because when you type in, see, they don't show what you're typing. That can be confusing. It is interesting that happens because, of course, they're trying to protect you. When you're signing into your email at a library or your friend's house or wherever you are, they don't want anyone to see or know your password, because that is your ultimate key into your account. One little tip for you is, if this is awkward for you, notice that this little button over here, this little thing that looks like an eye, you can show the password by basically, this is like saying it's blinded. If you click it, it'll show it. And so if you want, and it's easier for you, you can always click that button so that you can see the password that you're typing to make sure you've done it correctly. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to show you my password. So one more time, I'm entering my password. Pay no attention to that, to my email down below, because that's just not accurate for the moment. And you sign in, and normally speaking, it would take you right to your Gmail. Now here's a perfect example. I signed into my Gmail, but it didn't take me to my Gmails because I hit sign in. Am I in? Yes, I'm in. How do I know I'm in? Because when you look up on the top right, what you'll see is, you see my cursor going to the top right. This is my sign in symbol. That's my account button. That's telling me that I am in fact signed into Google, which is great. I need to be. And there's a lot of things I could access. We'll talk about many of them later. But the main thing at this moment is I need to be in my email. And Google's email is Gmail. So I have two options to get to my Gmail. I either click on the word Gmail, which is right here, or I look for the Gmail service on their app button, and then I would click Gmail to go into my Gmail now that I know I'm signed in because my little account initial is up. So now I'm going to go to my Gmail, which is where you all should be as well. All right, so I want everybody to be ready to go into your Gmails. If you're not ready to go into your inbox, please pause right now. Make sure that you're able to flip from the video to your inbox. You see up top where it says inbox, these are the tabs. Go on to your inbox like I am so that we can do a quick little lesson on email usage. So once you're in your inbox, now that you are, I want to talk about some fundamental principles about your email usage with Hope and in general. First of all, your email usage is essential for Hope training and for your employment prospects. We believe your email usage is your lifeline to employment because there is an extremely likely scenario that you will either be contacting employers or being notified by employers that they are interested in you by email. So this is extremely important. The communication, the professional communication that employers still expect is generally speaking done through email and online applications. So we are taking this email usage so seriously that is the entire training, first of all, is based on it, Google, as well as we are requiring you, as if your paycheck depended on it. Hear me now. You are required to check your email at least 2 to 3 times a day. I would, if I were you, because you're doing remote learning, I would check your email at least once an hour if you possibly can. Because you're going to be getting notices all the time about what you may need to do next in your training. This is the primary way we expect you to be communicating. If you're not used to checking your email every day, this is the time to do it. You're being required to. I have an idea. I'm going to do something. There. See that pretty face? I'm talking to you now. You're required to check your email frequently. Get used to it, please. Because otherwise you may be missing extremely important information, which you do not want to do. All right? So you hear me? Please be on top of that. I'll be trying to assess your usage all the time, but we'll know because if you're not responding to your email for all your assignments, we'll be aware that you're not taking it seriously enough. So take it seriously so that after even the training, once you get in to your employment search mode, you will be on top of it and ready to take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. So that's the last time you're going to see my mug that close, but I just wanted to make sure you heard me clearly. So I'll go back to share. You're going to see a couple of little buttons that pop up, and now we're back to where we were before. So you've heard that message. Please take that seriously. If you need to think about that, you can pause and think about it. All right, now let's go on to a little bit more talking about just email usage in the surface area that we are right here. If you're not used to checking your email on a computer, this is important. I want to make sure you're aware of what you're looking at and how to manage your email. I'll do 2 lessons on this. This is the first one. This is the more basic one, and later on I'll do a more extensive advanced lesson on email usage down the road. So generally speaking, when you sign in, where are you? You're on your email, yes, but you're in your inbox. Usually that's where they take you first. How do you know you're in your inbox? Well, inbox has been selected for you. You can tell it's selected by that sort of reddish tinge. It's got a little shade to it. You are in your inbox. You can tell you're in your inbox because it's been selected. And this in the middle, this is what's in your inbox. Okay, so I'm assuming you know what inbox means, but let's just go through it. What is an inbox? It's the mail that's come in to your account. You've received mail. What's in your inbox is your received mail. All of it, unless you've deleted it. So inbox that's been selected, these are your received emails. People, companies, entities have sent you emails. Somebody's trying to talk to you. So they come in one at a time, right? Every line is one email. That's how it works. Every line is one email. The newest one is always going to be up top. And as they come in, they get moved down one at a time. So the oldest ones are down below. Now, I don't have many emails in this window, but if I wanted to scroll, this is what the gray bar is on the right side. I'm moving my cursor over to the right side. This gray bar is the scroll bar. If I had 100 or 200 emails, I could scroll through them by clicking and holding on the gray bar, or even easier, if you have your mouse and you're using it, and I hope you are. If you're using your mouse, you can roll the roller on the mouse up and down. I'm going to ask you please to use your mouse for the first few trainings. Just get used to it. After that, I don't really care how you select things on your screen. But anyway, I'd like you to be using your mouse for a little while. So that's how you scroll through your emails. Now, that's what you're looking at in your inbox. These are all different places you could be looking in your email program. You've got an inbox, that's one thing. We've got a sent folder, which is also something that's important to know, because what is a sent folder? In your sent folder are emails that you've sent to people. These are just little tests that I sent myself in another email. These are copies of emails that I've sent to somebody else, anybody, because every single email that you write and send to somebody a copy is made automatically, immediately, with everything in it, and dropped into your sent folder. Drafts I'll cover later. That's another location. All mail is every single email sent or otherwise that you don't have in your inbox. You'll see every email that you have. Spam is junk mail. I'll explain that later. Trash is the emails that you've deleted, and then there are other folders we can talk about. But inbox is your primary location. All right, let's talk about the email that you have in your inbox. In your inbox, the received mail tell you things before you even open them, because I haven't opened an email yet. So you know several things about these emails before you even open them. And I think this is important to talk about, because you're going to be in here a lot, and you're going to need to be able to prioritize and discriminate between emails in order to be able to not waste your time. All emails are not equal. I'm asking you to check and deal with your email every day. And when I say deal with the email, what I mean is read what's important and prioritize so that you don't miss anything. How do you do that? Well, you learn how to discriminate between all of your emails. So what do we know about all of these emails before you even open them? A few basic things. Think about it as you look at your inbox. What do you know about them? I think we know a few things without even opening them. Number one, the first column. What's that first column about? Who's it from? That's useful. Why is that useful? Why is it useful to know who it's from? So you can make choices. Not every email is vital. If you've gotten junk email before, you know what I'm talking about. Anybody, if they've got your email, and people buy and sell email addresses, and there are hackers all over the world, your email address is out there at some point or another. It's all going to be out there, and you're going to get junk, and you're going to get things you don't need to deal with. So knowing who it's from is vitally important. So as you check your email, my first suggestion is always notice who it's from so you can make a judgment. That's the point. Judge whether the email is important enough. Is this person somebody you know? Is it somebody you've been waiting to hear from? Should you be looking at this email because of the person or company that sent you this email? Because you're not going to be able to, or nor should you, read every email you receive. That would be crazy, especially once you've had an email account for a while. You have to prioritize. So this first column, knowing who it's from, is vitally important, because you're not going to be able to deal with every email that are not important. Okay, that's column one. The stars are nice because if it's an important email that you want to come back to later, you can always star it. If I actually thought Andy from Google was important enough that I needed to remember it, I could star it. And if I needed to find the most important emails later on, I could click starred, and then I would only be seeing my most important emails. I'll do that right now. So there's my only important email, but if you had starred other emails, you'd find them quickly. All right, so that's what starred is, and that's what you can do. All right, now, what else do you know about these emails before you even open them? You know who it's from, that's important. You can make a judgment and prioritize. What else? What's column 2? Right here along this line, the first bit before the dash. This is the subject. Sounds pretty basic, but the subject is important. Why? Because it also helps you make a judgment. Who put the subject in the email? The sender, as a courtesy, a professional courtesy to you, especially in a professional email. Never send an email without a subject. How rude is that? I get a message, there's no subject, I don't know what the email's about, I'm just supposed to open it just because you sent it? Put a subject in the email so that the person who received it can make a judgment. Because again, if the subject does not rise to the level of importance for you at the given moment, I can put it off till later, or I can ignore it. The subject is just telling you in a few words, maybe even one word, what the email is about. That's a courtesy, it's important. Look at it really quickly and see if it rises to a level of importance for you to open it and read it. That's the purpose of a subject, and I want you as a professional to be aware of that habit. Every time you send an email to somebody, please put a subject in the subject window. 1, 2, 3, 4 words, some little title. It was like a chapter title, the title of a little chapter of a book. Tell me what it's about so that you've done your due notice. All right, so that's important because you can judge whether the email is important enough to open and what it's about. What else do you know about the email? Let's go to the far right. Obviously the date or even time. If you got it today, the email will tell you what down to the minute when you got the email, but then once it crosses into yesterday, they just tell you what date you got the email. That's important. Why? Well, it's sort of important. If someone told you they sent you an email on February 26th, you could find it. If someone told you they sent an email to you 3 days ago, you could find it because you've got the date. So that can be useful because you may have to put emails off, or you may have to come back to emails that you looked at a while ago. So please be aware this time could be useful, especially when you have to sort through your emails. And then of course over here, you've got what looks to be the written part of the email, which is true, but it's only the first few words. It's a preview. A preview is not the whole email. I'm going to repeat that. The preview is not the entire email. So how do you know what is in the entire email? You open it. But here it is, you do see a little preview for what they were writing in the email, which is helpful. You can get an idea what they're saying, but please do not mistake that for the entire email. So, okay, those are the main things you know about emails before you open them, except for one more interesting thing. Notice my inbox. Some emails are lighter shaded than other emails. Some are darker, and the others are lighter. Darker, lighter. What's that about? It's got a purpose. So, the emails that are darker is a signal. It's a signal that you haven't opened it yet. If it's lighter shaded, then apparently you have opened it. They term that as being either read, as in not read the color red, but you read it, or unread, as in I guess you didn't open it or read it yet. Now, just because you opened an email doesn't mean you read it. No. So that's why I like the terms opened and unopened, but it doesn't really matter. They use the term read or unread. So the darker emails are telling you you did not read it or did not open it. Why is that useful? It's useful because it reminds you, if you did decide to put it off till later, that you didn't read it yet. That's helpful. Or you don't just keep opening up the same email over and over again because you forgot that you already did. So that's useful primarily to be able to just help you keep track of what you have or have not opened or read yet. And so I would just want you to be aware of that because I think that's useful as you, again, try to prioritize and organize yourself using email. The only other thing that you may see here and there, or you may see either you see the paperclip along the end here telling you that you have an attachment. What is an attachment? An attachment is some file, digital file that has been attached with the email and sent with the email. So if you see a paperclip or a little tile attached to the bottom of the email. So there'll be some space here. There'll be a little tile. That's a signal that you've got an attachment to look for once you've opened up the email. It's more than just what's written in the email. There's also a file that has been attached, and any kind of file can be attached to an email. Anything from a music file to a video file to a picture file, and of course document files of all types can be attached to an email. Now, just be aware of one thing. Just because there's an attachment doesn't mean you should go ahead and open it and look at the attachment. People know that anybody is tempted by attachment. Ooh, somebody sent me an attachment. Let me see what it is. If you don't know the person who sent you that attachment, be highly cautious about opening up attachments from people you don't know. Because what can happen is they're tempting you to open something because they know the psychology of how people are. And if you open an attachment from somebody you don't know, you risk yourself getting a virus to your computer, not a virus to your body, now that we're talking about the pandemic days, but a virus to your computer. They can intercept all sorts of information from your computer or from your email account. You don't want to do that if you don't know the sender. If you know the sender well, okay, then you should probably open up the attachment. If you're not sure, ask the sender before you open it. Just as a precautionary measure, please be aware that attachments can do damage to your computers or your personal information on your computer. So I just wanted to throw that out there. How do you read an email? Well, that's pretty much a simple prospect. All you gotta do is click on the name, the subject, the body here, anywhere on the line. Just try to stay away from the ends here because there's all sorts of tools you may click by accident. But anywhere you click, if I click on Andy's introductory email, Andy is not real. That was just the guy who sent me, the robot who sent me an introduction to my Google account. I'm reading my email. You can read it. You can scroll through it. There's that scroll button. You can roll through it. You read the email. When you're done reading your email, how do you get back to your inbox? 2 or 3 ways. You got to go back to your inbox, so there's a back button. Or you can just click, which is what I usually do. I just click on inbox so I know directly where I'm going. Click on inbox, and then you're back to your inbox. So those are some fundamentals about email usage. You now know how important we think it is. You now know your requirement for your usage. You know some things about the emails themselves. The only thing we haven't talked about yet is writing emails, which is crucial. So if you want to take a break right now, you can pause the video, clear your head, and got about 5 or 10 minutes left to talk about composed emails. All right. So the last topic for today is how to write an email, how to write and send an email. It's fairly basic, but still, if you're not using emails a lot on your computer in the past, then, well, you need to know how to do it. Because you'll be sending messages all the time. You'll either be writing fresh new messages or you'll be replying to messages. So, composing a message. See, I use the word composing. Sounds like a musical term. I have a musical background. I spent a whole career being a writer, an arranger, producer. Composing is another word for writing. So when you want to write an email, you've got to compose an email. So the universal term for setting up a new email is the button called Compose. It's right there in the top left. They made it quite large. That is your button to create a new email. So all right. So I'm going to click on Compose. Now, if you're not used to looking at the screen, what happened is over here, a window opened up. This is your email window or your surface. When you hit Compose, you've created a message. If you wanted to hide it for a second, these are the tools. You can hide it. It's down here. You can bring it back up. If you want to close it, you can close it. Or if you want to get rid of it, trash it because you're not really going to use it. You've decided you're not going to send it or ever use it in the future, you could trash it. But here is your email surface. Now, if this is too small for you, I always like to suggest that you go ahead and click this double arrow in between these two tools. The double arrow will make it a larger surface. I think this is usually easier to work with. So whether you worked with it in the corner or whether you hit the double arrow, and please do pause the video and try that if you want. Please go ahead and pause and compose a message and try hitting that double arrow so you're seeing what I'm seeing. and come on back. Okay, so then before you go back to your composed message or while you're listening to me, let's talk about a few things. Where are you clicked automatically when you compose a message? Well, they need to know who you're sending it to. How does email work? You can't send an email to somebody who doesn't have an email address. You can't get an email unless you have an email address. So what goes in the to box? The to box, where it's blinking, is the email address for whoever you're sending it to. You've got to type in the email address exactly correctly, or else it will not go to them. And when I say that, what I mean is if their email address has any numbers, any symbols in it, you've got to type every one of them in without any spaces. If you get one thing wrong in an email address, it will either go nowhere or it'll go to the wrong person. So please focus carefully on all the details of an email address. So for instance, if you were about to send me an email address, you would have to type the entire thing. By the way, every staff member, once you meet us and know our name, you know our email address. It works the same way at Hope. My professional account is dfleming with 2 M's at thehopeprogram.org. I'm going to break that down in a second. So why D Fleming? Well, my name is David Fleming. So every staff member has the same system. First initial of the first name, full last name. That's how it works. D Fleming, 2 M's, not 1 M, no S at the end of it, no D Flemings. You see, those little details will cause it to not go to me. Now, the second section after you type the @ symbol is the Hope Program. Every staff member here at Hope has that as the second section of an email address. The Hope Program. That is a work domain, as in gmail.com. Gmail is a domain provider name for the email service. This is an internal service, so the Hope Program is after D Fleming at. At where? The Hope Program. You got to spell out the whole thing, not just Hope Program, not just Hope, but the Hope Program. And you got to get every R, every O, every M, every A correct. All right, D Fleming at thehopeprogram.org, O-R-G, not .com, .org. So those details in every email address are vital. You got to get it right. Now, if you've typed and sent emails to a person frequently, Google's going to guess as you type it that you mean that person. So if I start typing my name, you'll see I've got 2 staff members that pop up. Why? Because there's D's in 2 of our staff members' addresses. So I got me at my Hope Program and Mr. Dawson, Reggie Dawson, at the Hope Program address. It's popping up because it knows them. So I could choose which one I need, assuming that it's correct as you look at the email address, because sometimes it remembers you did it incorrectly. And if you choose the wrong one because it remembers you doing it incorrectly one day, it's going to go incorrectly again. Or you can type out the entire thing. Now it's .org. And I always, if I'm typing out the entire address, I look at it really carefully to make sure I've gotten it correct. D Fleming at thehopeprogram.org. So if you were to send me an email, that's what you would do. When you're done, generally speaking, you hit enter. Sometimes if it knows the person, it shows it as a name, but it still represents only the address. All right, what always goes next is the subject. The subject we talked about. This is vital for a courtesy, as a professional courtesy. You tell them what the subject is, whatever you want the subject to be. In this way, in this one, I'll say introduction because that's what this whole lesson is about. So whatever this email would be something about an introduction. So that is what you put in the second line, which is your subject line. And then finally, where do you write your email? Well, that's the body. And that's where I just clicked. You've got 3 fields. To box, who you sending it to, the recipient field. You put their address in it. The subject window, as a common courtesy, always put a subject in it. And note, where can you type? Only where you've clicked. You can't type where you haven't clicked. If you're not blinking in the field, you can't type in that field. And then so finally then you have what's called the body or the message area down below. This is unlimited. You can type as much as you want. It'll wrap around just like in a Word document. Type as much as you want into this section. So I'm just going to say hello. This is a fake email. I'm not going to send it to anybody. And then if you have a signature in your settings already set up, I don't have to sign off. because it's already automatic, but if it's not, then you would sign off. How do you send an email? That's pretty easy. You go to the bottom and you hit send. If you're not going to send this email ever again and you changed your mind, you would hit the trash can down here and delete it. But otherwise, I would say you'd finish it and send it. So I'm going to delete it because I'm not going to send it ever. So that's why I'm hitting discard draft. All right. So now you know how to compose for sure. You know what's in your inbox. You understand the principles that we're asking of you in terms of email, and you have a good sense of what your email service is about, plus the idea that you have tabs, and you're still continuing to build a block on how to use your training screen on your Chrome browser while you do your training. So that's enough for now. I'm going to sign out now, and we're going to keep in mind you may get emails with further instructions. Who knows who may send you emails. Have a good day.